Hey folks, this is Alex with Grow How. My currant has had some yellow leaves. I want to take a closer look at that now. Got a lot of sun reflection even though I'm in the shade. And see how it's going yellow there. Now, there is an appearance of some greening in the veins there. I think that's just because they're lower down, but up here distinctly you've got green in veins. Now if I come over here to my other plant here, I've got some nice dark leaves at top, a little bit of yellowing around the edges, but as I go down, look at some of there's new leaves. These are some of the older leaves, and the older leaves are showing more yellow. So what I'm struggling to do, well, not so much I'm struggling, but the struggle that I've had to go through is to decide what problem is causing this. Now to this, I have to add, we had an absolutely abnormal spring this year. A lot of rain, almost never get that. My feeling on these plants is that right there is iron chlorosis. It's caused by the fact that we had so much rain that the shrub couldn't access all the iron in the soil that we usually have. But down here and these other leaves, I feel like that's most likely a nitrogen deficiency. Now I've got one in there that looks like there might be some scalding. My sense of it though is if the tree or if the shrub had proper nutrients, if it had the full amount of nitrogen and full access to iron, I don't think that I would have burning on that. Since it's dried out and I'm only watering twice a week, chances are it's not going to really be struggling to get the iron. And in the case of those existing leaves, it's already so late for me that they're still going to be iron deficient because they've already created that. So next year, if it looks like we're going to have a wet spring again, I might throw down some iron. This year, I'm just going to throw down a little bit of nitrogen fertilizer. Now remember, a straight up yellowing is generally nitrogen. Again, that veining, it is not distinct enough to be certain. That looks a little bit more like iron. I really think that's nitrogen, especially when I look in context of what's happening over here. That one over there has clearly no iron problems, but it does look like it's got some nitrogen. I should also point out that with iron issues, the newer leaves tend to be yellow and the older leaves tend to be green. As you see here, the older leaves are yellow and the newer ones are tending towards green. That's because iron doesn't move well once it's in the plant. Nitrogen does. So I think that this shrub is pulling the nitrogen from the older growth to fund the newer growth. And I think if I throw this nitrogen down in 2 to 3 weeks, I will start seeing improvement. So I've got my my container of nitrogen. I've had this for a long time now. I don't use a lot of fertilizer. Clearly this is a case where it's likely to help the situation. So when I get fertilizer, it lasts forever. So there's your basics on understanding nitrogen deficiency versus iron deficiency, and sometimes you'll see signs in the same plant. And again, on both issues, that's very potentially due to just a lot of water. And when you have a lot of water, when you have too much water, a lot of times the plant can't get the nutrients it needs because it can't pull it out of the soil with all that liquid in there. So those are probably the two most common deficiencies you'll see in Utah. We have very, very low nitrogen in our soil. We have lots of iron, but because of the alkalinity, and you can watch my alkalinity video for that, it's just not accessible. So I'm going to go ahead, fertilize these, and we'll catch up just with the follow-up in a couple weeks and see how it does. Thank you again, and please subscribe below. Manana.